We're responding to many families who feel like it takes too long to build a school in this province. We're going to streamline the process to approve and build schools while making it easier for students to find classrooms they need as close to home as possible. This means maximizing the efficiency of existing schools and ensuring new schools that are built meet the needs of the community they're in. It's about better maximizing our real estate portfolio. Right now, the government is not even, because right now the school boards are controlling their assets, we don't even know the inventory of what schools are available and not even being used for learning. So my point is, if there's a school board, and when you say, why does the government want to get involved in this? Because we want to help solve problems in other boards. You may have a Catholic board that is an unused school. It's been sitting unused for 13 years. It may be rented, it may not be. The point is, it's not being used for mission critical education. And a public school board 1.5 kilometers away that is desperate for a school, massive growth, big demand on the public side. Right now, the public board has to go out and buy perhaps the most expensive real estate in our lifetime right now to buy, we're talking about 50, 70, $80 million land parcels when there's an empty school down the block. So do you believe, or would any reasonable observer believe, I mean, not you, Laura, but as a taxpayer, do you accept that that is ludicrous? That's just not a good use of assets. So it's repurposing it for learning. It's for school boards. And of course, they have to sell it at fair market value on the market like that. There's a process. The process, as we've described, is it would be offered to the coterminous board. So this example, the Catholic would offer to the public. If they decline it, it then goes to the provincial priorities list, which could be used for things like long-term care. If there's no use for education and no use that the other boards want and no use that the actual board that currently owns it has for the school, well, then we could put it to use for things like LTC or affordable housing or social housing or things like this that are actually pretty critical right now. So just about better utilizing, like we're one of the largest real estate holders in the province. We don't have an inventory. We don't have a way to force the hand of bodies to work together, stop this territorialism. It's not the case everywhere in Ontario, but honestly, there's many examples of this. Many examples of boards not perhaps being as collaborative as they should be, given that the taxpayer paid for the asset for the school. So this is about reimagining how we use, repurpose our schools for learning, and how ultimately we make sure schools are more available in communities, particularly in growing communities that need schools yesterday. And I'll tell you, I get letters from chairs almost every week pleading for a school to be built in communities that are growing so fast. And this bill helps us respond by more speed and determination to get on with building schools and get them done quickly in Ontario.
And Minister, given all that, I'm still not quite understanding why you wouldn't lift the moratorium, because all of this makes sense, but if you've got 3 schools close to one another that are all half full, why not let the school board say, hey, let's merge them, and then we can repurpose one for all the stuff you're talking about?
Effective advocate for school boards today. But no,
just asking a question.
No, I understand. Look, today, this is perhaps a phased approach. The first step is let's get the legislation right. Let's create the authorities, send a new culture within the sector that they've got to work together to get schools built quicker. We're going to reduce the streamline. We've already reduced the approval process in the ministry by 50%. We did a lean review of our systems. We've cut it down by half. It's still not enough because we have municipal partners involved with site plan approvals that can take 2 or 3 years, for example, in Toronto. And that's just not, I think, and time is money. How many times have I had to reauthorize an expenditure of a school that started at 14 million, it's now 17 million because time and inflation has meant I had to produce a second approval for an incremental cost. That means the taxpayer is paying for it. So time, if we can speed up the approvals time, we can speed up the construction time, we can reduce the cost, and more importantly, more than the fiscal, get a school opened in a community closer to home for these kids, a good modern school, technology, accessibility, modern ventilation, all the things you'd expect in 2023 for kids to learn it. And we're going to continue to consult with school boards, AMO and Roma, and a variety of other municipal partners. This bill actually, for the first time, and we're talking about our partnership with cities, it actually requires school boards to work with their municipal partner. Right now, they sort of could build schools, and we have an example where they're building a school where the municipality maybe permitted growth over here, somewhere else, yet the school's being built in a different part of the town, and there's a disagreement. So at the front end, I'm requiring some form of partnership and collaboration where the school board and the city planners have to meet early, work together on building a school. There's more, we break down the silos that are existing, frankly, within the ministry and within the school board system. I think it's a good thing. Honestly, a lot of this is common sense stuff that should have been done a long time ago. And I appreciate that there's more we can do when it comes to accelerating approvals of schools, and we're going to keep working with the sector to make that happen. My point is we can do things better. It should not take a decade to build a school in the city of Toronto or in a small community or a suburban community. So the point, the driving force, what is the motivation, our why today, is the desire to do better, to improve the efficiency of our system and refocus it on outcomes, on lifting standards, on helping kids get on track on the skills that matter. When a third of kids believe let me rephrase that, when a third of kids are not confident in their reading skills upon graduation, that is a clear signal that the system needs to be improved. And the ministry and the government since 2018 has invested in roughly 8,000 more staff. And we've increased baseline funding by 27%. We've modernized curriculum. We're about to unveil a new language curriculum this coming September that follows the Right to Read report, the Ontario Human Rights Commission, reverting to a advanced phonics system when it comes to literacy. It's going to help a lot of kids, particularly those children with special education needs, dyslexia, etc. These kids really be able to have higher standards. So in short, I want the system to be better. I want better outcomes. I want us to improve the literacy and math skills that matter to young people. And I think the signal we're trying to send to across the enterprise is we all have a role to play in stepping up to do better and help kids get on track with those fundamental skills of reading, writing, and math.